My breaking point with Claude Code arrived in the form of a Slack post, and in about 4 seconds of reading it, I went from nice to I'm a fraud. Today, I want to talk to you about what AI actually took from me because it wasn't the job. It's a Tuesday afternoon. The Slack notification pops up on my laptop. A product manager, one of the good ones, generous with praise, the kind who actually notices work, has posted a message to the whole channel thanking the engineering team for a recent release. And my name happens to be on that list. And for about a half second, there's this warm little flicker, pride and recognition. The team killed it. I'm lucky to work with this PM. And then, without me deciding to, my brain starts doing something else. That's great. The team did accomplish a lot with this. I'm lucky to be part of such a cohesive and exceptional group of people. But wait, why is my name on this list? I was more of an advisor on this one. I did more on previous initiatives. There should be an asterisk next to my name. I feel like a fraud. How am I gonna not feel like a fraud in the next release notes? That all happens in the space of maybe 4 seconds, 5 tops. And here's what I want you to notice. I could have stopped at praise and recognition. That was the whole message. That was the actual signal. The PM was being kind and specific, and my name was on a list of people who shipped something genuinely good. But I didn't stop there. I chose not to stop there. That whole spiral, the fraud voice, the asterisk, the anxiety about the next release notes, that wasn't a feeling that happened to me. That was a thread, and I picked it up, and I followed it. I just didn't feel the moment of picking up or realize that I was following it. This isn't a video about a Slack post. This is a video about what happens when the space between stimulus and response, the pause where your discernment used to live, gets compressed to nothing. Because that's what AI did. Not to my career, to something quieter and much older. Last year in August, I ran an experiment. I let Claude Code write the software for a sprint or two. 3 weeks, maybe 4, nearly 2 decades of hard-won engineering instinct reduced in that experiment to an advisory capacity. And it didn't arrive dramatically. There was no breakdown moment. No tearful realization at my desk, no journal entry that started, "Today everything changed." It arrived on the other side of a successful release, through a Slack mention, no less. Here's something that I need to be honest about. This isn't grief. I was actually ready for this transition away from individual contribution, I'd already intellectually accepted the move from engineer to engineering leader. I understood the manager role. I felt uniquely qualified for it, given my experience at this point in my life. The career arc makes a lot of sense. I was standing on fairly solid ground at this point. What I think I was feeling in that Slack message was vertigo, actually. And there's a difference. Grief has a shape. You know what was lost. You can mourn it. You can sit with it, name it, build a new relationship in its absence. Grief is a room that you walk into, a landscape that you traverse and process over time. Vertigo is different. Vertigo is when the ground is still there, but it's not where your feet remember it being. You reach for the next step, and it's not where the maps said that it would be. The speed of AI collapsed the adjustment period for us all, I think. I didn't get the journey. I got teleported instantaneously. And the old map I was carrying, the one I'd been drawing for 19 years, one decision at a time, one debugging session at a time, one late night at a time, that map doesn't plot to this new terrain very well. The question that surfaced then, the one that I've heard echoed back to me almost word for word by colleagues and direct reports, is deceptively simple. How do I understand my value in this new landscape? That question is the sound of the ground being in the wrong place. A few weeks after this experiment, I'm on a one-on-one. A colleague, someone that I respect deeply, says something that I recognize immediately. He says, "If I haven't finished a task by the end of the day, how do I know what value I added? How do I leave work at the office and not carry it home in my mind?" And I just sat there for a second because I must have said those exact sentences to myself thousands upon thousands of times, probably for 2 decades, in different forms, in different words, always landing in the same place. But I'd never heard them out loud before. That was the mirror, actually. I'd built my sense of self quietly, without examining it, around being a support system for others, around completed objectives, around the legibility of my output. I was the guy who could see the architectural problem 3 months before it broke. I was the one who stayed late and untangled the merge conflict. I even built an entire Android app by myself while a team worked on the iOS counterpart one time, all in the effort to support this notion in my mind that I was essential. I was the value that I delivered, measured in tickets and reviews and shipped systems, And then, essentially without warning, Claude Code starts writing the software. We were all chuckling at first, I remember, as it made egregious errors and failed at basic reasoning. But then it got good, and the accumulated instinct I'd built over 19 years, the pattern recognition earned through hours of staring at broken things until they told me what was wrong, became, in that experiment, ancillary. That word is specific, neither obsolete nor worthless, not even as simple as replaced. Ancillary, supporting, adjacent, no longer at the center. That's as precise as it is painful, even as I sit here saying it out loud. So here's where I had to be careful, because the obvious story, the story that writes itself, is that the enemy is AI. The enemy is Claude Code. The enemy is speed. That's not the enemy. The enemy is the unopposed ego narrative that runs when the space collapses. Now stay with me on this. We are constantly crafting stories about our worth, about our relevance, about our identity, most of them illusory. They feel true, they feel urgent, they feel like facts. But they're the stories the ego is telling us. They're not facts about who we are. And here's what the waiting used to do. The friction, the slow debug, the hours of staring at a problem until your brain finally produced something useful, the meeting you had to sit through before you could solve the thing, the commute home where the code was still compiling in the back of your mind, the back pain that made it difficult to get to sleep that night as you lingered on unanswered threads. The waiting forced you into a practice you didn't even know that you were doing. You had to sit with discomfort long enough to start noticing your own thoughts, long enough to catch yourself picking up a thread you didn't actually want to follow, long enough to put it down. That was the practice, and most of us never named it. We thought we were just working, just solving problems, just grinding through. But underneath all of that, something quieter was happening. We were getting reps in on the most important skill a human being can develop, the ability to notice a thought and decide whether to follow it. Speed removes that practice. Claude is fast, and Claude is helpful, and I am grateful for it in ways that I can't fully even articulate yet. But when the space between the problem and the solution collapses to near zero, something else collapses with it. The ego's story runs unopposed. The fraud voice, the asterisk, the "what is my value now?" All of it, full volume, no buffer. The Slack post from my product manager is the demonstration of this. I could have stopped right at praise and recognition. That was the truest signal for me. Everything after was a thread that I picked up because I had no space in which to notice I was even picking it up. So the question is not, how do I keep up with AI? The question is, who is feeling this anxiety? And is that voice truly me? I'm not going to give you 5 steps. I'm not going to give you a framework. I'm not going to tell you to journal or meditate or block out deep work hours, even though those things can be fine and genuinely helpful. I'm going to give you one thing. The next time anxiety fires about AI, about your value, about your relevance, about the shape of your career, about any of it, don't run from it. Don't suppress it. Don't fix it. Don't try to outthink it. Get curious about it. Name the feeling and ask, where is this coming from? And be persistent, because it will not necessarily answer you the first time. There is a root thought in there, I promise you. It's a specific sentence your mind is telling you, and it will not announce itself. You have to follow the thread backwards, slowly, without judgment, until you find the exact words. And when you find them, the sentence, the story, the verdict dressed up as fact, I want you to recognize it for what it is. It is a story being told to you. It's not a verdict. It's not a fact. It's not you. You did not have to follow that thread. And you don't have to follow the next one either. Though I'll be honest, there was a time I followed one of these threads all the way down, and it sent me straight into a prison cell of my own making.